Hi there everyone, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Today we are getting the reveal of the next legendary hero to drop into the game in just a few short days. Now I am actually away and traveling for the Memorial Day weekend, so I don't have all of my equipment here. This is going to be a real short and truncated one, so I do apologize for that in advance, but we are going to watch through together for the first time so we can react raw to the reveal, and then very briefly go through the banner to see if this is one that I think is worth pulling for. So let's get started. I have the banner pulled up, have not looked at the trailer, have not looked at the teaser, have not looked at the thumbnail or the text, so let's get into it. Here we go. Wait for that text to leave. Okay. A new legendary hero joins the battle. And that looks like a wing. Oh, it's Myrrh, Guardian Dragon.
I would prefer not to
Oh,
fight, but there's something
she's
I
a
must
winged
protect.
blue dragon. Beautiful art. Really nice. Godly Breath. Defense Res Unity. Dragon Wall 3. Darkling Guardian. She's gonna be a tank. There's really little question. Oh, she's like glowing celestial. The dragon sprite. And that huge beam. Wow. Wow. They picked some very calming music for it.
That won't work.
She does seem like a little bit of an older version, slightly. Even her sprite has that cute smile. Okay. We got Legendary Eliwood, we got Bramamond, as well as Edelgard, got some Claude, some Dagger, Byleth, okay. Priam, interesting. Both Byleths are present, got Resplendent Joshua, Nami, Sita, I see, okay. Interesting. So again, starting on the 31st, so at the very tail end, of course, of May. So starting on the 31st of May and going for what looks to be 2 weeks. Huh. That's interesting. We usually only have 1 week for Legendary Mythic Hero banners, I think. So that's a little unusual, unless I'm just missing something, which is very possible. Alright, so we got Godly Breath, 16 might. Again, she is a flying blue dragon, has a killer slaying effect if unit initiates combat or is within 2 space of an ally, inflicts -5 to all stats on foe during combat. Reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoEs by 30%, and if the end unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, and then adaptive damage. That certainly is godly. I mean, it's all the things that you would expect from a powerful dragon weapon. The killer slaying effect is super great. Very easy condition for the -5 debuff, in combat debuff, which is very solid. The damage reduction plus the guaranteed follow-up attack, all very good things. Bonfire for the special, Defense Res Unity for the A slot if she's within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 to both of those defensive stats, and then a bonus to the defense and res equal to the current penalty on those stats ×2, which effectively cancels out the penalty and then adds that amount in surplus, so she gets a buff associated with it. So that's pretty good, especially if she is going to be a really tanky dragon, which she historically has been, so that makes sense. Dragon Wall 3 is obviously going to synergize with that. As the B slot, if unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by a percentage equal to the difference between stats ×4, maximum 40%, and that is going to stack. All of this damage reduction is going to stack with itself multiplicatively, so that is going to help her just sustain more and more damage on top of the considerable high stat line, I think, for her defensive stats. And then Darkling Guardian for the C slot. So at start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants defense res +6. And foe cannot make a follow-up attack and warp bubble to unit for 1 turn. Okay. Warp bubble. Foes cannot warp into spaces within 4 spaces of unit. Does not affect foes with pass skills or warp effects from structures. Interesting. So Warp Bubble is that anti-warping sort of extension of Obstruct, except a status effect, which is pretty nice. I actually like that a lot. I've been waiting for them to put something like this in the game. I was hoping it would be in the form of a debuff associated with like Gravity 2. They could still do that in the future. because they haven't implemented a debuff to that effect. They've only implemented sort of a buff, as Warp Bubble is here. But I think that's great. I mean, I think that's great. I think that's a healthy counter to a lot of the warping strategies that are currently out there. There's a whole plethora of different abilities that grant warping, depending on the team composition. Certain units have it innately, have it as a buff. So I do think that it is a very useful utility skill to have defensively to shut down certain strategies on the enemy team. So I think that's pretty darn good. I actually think that gives her a lot of utility in what would otherwise have been a relatively cookie cutter kit that has all of the really powerful things that you would expect from a dragon wall out there, guaranteeing follow-up attacks, preventing follow-up attacks, high defense, damage reduction, killer slaying effect, debuffs on the enemy, all that jazz that you would expect. But that Warp Bubble really is an interesting effect that does kind of cement her, at least for the time being, until they add that to a specific skill out there. For the time being, it's unique to her, and it's going to be innate to one of her skills that gives her a lot of other stuff. It's an activated buff, enhances her defenses. I think that's good. I think that alone is kind of the especially interesting element, I think, to Myrrh. Now, the other thing is that she's a blue flying dragon. I believe that's a new color for Myrrh, if I'm not mistaken. So Myrrh Emblem out there is going to be able to take advantage of that color diversity, which I'm sure is going to be very appreciated. Blue is at the top, green is slightly under, colorless a little bit further down, or a ways down, and then red just kind of at the bottom there. So that's kind of my ranking overall of the colors if you are going to be sniping. But of course, the general rule of thumb, if you are missing and would like 2 of the units of the 3 that are focus units on a color, it is generally speaking worth pulling on that color, given the split of the 8% amongst the characters. So yeah, Legendary Myrrh, again, hitting on the 31st of May. I think she looks pretty good. I think she's definitely going to be solid. Myrrh Emblem is definitely going to welcome this additional unit, and she's going to have some unique utility. She's also accompanied by 2 very, very strong blues on the banner. So for me personally, I don't think I'm going to be going